Okay, maybe it's working now. I don't know what happened to my camera. That was bizarre. Very bizarre. Okay, so there was the first card. I hope you saw that. Okay, so this one was called a 4-panel fun fold. And then you have that on that side. And then this was the template with all the numbers, the measurements, the scoring on them. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat that one again. If it didn't turn out, well, I'll have to do it later. This is our second card, which is an accordion Z fold. This is volume 1. Okay, so then it goes like that. Isn't that cool? I just love this. You see? So on that one, I'll stick it right here. We have our card base is 5.5 by 11. These are all A2 cards. And so you can see that's how it goes. So 5.5 by 11, and then it's gonna get scored at, I have to look here, as I didn't obviously write these down in pen so that you could see. Scored at 1 3/4 is your first score. Your next score is at 3.5, and your next score is at 8.25. No, that's 5.25. 5.25. And then your last one is 7. Those are the score marks. Mine are all held together with washi tape, so they're not going to stay together. And then you put a little piece over here, a white piece for like putting your sentiment on, and it's 3 3/4 by 5.25. And then you have these little panels here, and you do those with your DSP, which is designer series paper, and they're all 1.5 by 5.25. You can see that. And then you have this one here, which is it's a 3 by 6, and it's scored in half. And then you have these little white mats, and they're 2 3/4 square. So 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then that gives you this card. And you can see where I put my DSP. And then I stamped the inside, stamped on the outside. Okay, so there's that one. And we'll put this back together right there. And then my third one is this card. Let me get it's called an offset gatefold fun card. Okay, and so then it opens like this. So it's like a gatefold. It opens, and then you have this. I loved picking out the papers for these cards. And so this one, here you go. You open it up, there's your gatefold. This base is 5.5 by 8.5. So it's a regular size card. And it is scored at, let me see here. It's scored at 1.5 and at 5 3/4. And I'm sorry I didn't write that big enough so that you can see it. Then you have your inside mat for your sentiment or stamping something on there. And it's a 4 by 5.25. Then you have this little piece on the front here, which can be your designer series paper on both of these sides. This one here is 1 1/4 by 5.25. This one's 2.5 by 5.25. And then you have this little square here, which is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then you can see how I did it on mine. So I didn't put a little square here, you notice. I put a bird cage. So it doesn't have to be a square that you stick there. It could be a circle, it could be whatever. that you want to put on there. A flower, it could be a flower even. And then here's my DSP, well, my designer series paper that I covered it with. So that is card number 3. I did not do card number 4. So I'm going to stick these all right here. And we'll move on to volume number, let's see, I want volume number 3. Yep, that's what this one is. Okay, so volume number 3, the first card is this one, and it is called a bookbinding fun fold, because see how this is all taped or glued down, and it opens up like it's like a book with a spine. Okay, and so I had this paper with these little girls, and I just thought it was so cute. So very simple card. So you take your card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, and then you would take, and this part right here you would score at 3 1/4, and then 4 1/4, and that's your scores. And then these two I put right there, you glue. So you glue that together so that this would stay together. Okay, so that it would stay together, and then your book would open. Okay, and this little designer series piece is 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then you have this piece here, which is 3 by 5 1/4. And then you'd put a mat on the inside, which would be 3 by 5 1/4. And then you come up with this. There's a mat piece. There's what on the front. Instead of putting a designer piece, I put a little girl on there and wrote, "You are lovely." And I put some designer paper in there. And that's that card. Okay, so I'm gonna move that one back over here. In fact, maybe I'll move it back right where it was. Then I have this next one, and this is a split front fun fold, okay? And it's a split front because the front is part here and part here. So you can see how that goes. It's like, we turn it this way, and then you open it. And so you've got a piece, you know, that's not there. And so this one is 4 1/4 by 11. So you start with a piece of cardstock. That is that. And then you're going to take and cut off 1 1/2, which will become this one. And you're going to cut it off at 2 1/2. Okay, so I think this is the 1 1/2 and this is the 2 1/2. And that's what you're going to cut off. And then you're going to put a piece of white in here, like I did. Put a piece of white in there. Okay. And then I just did it like this. Let me see. I put a piece here, and there was some down there. Okay, so you'd take a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 and put it in here. Then you take your DSP, which is 1 1/4 by 4, and put it over the top of these, like I did. I put these colored over that top. That was my DSP. And then this part here was 2 1/2 by 4 1/4, the pink piece right here. And then this one is 2 1/4 by 4. Okay. And it's coming off because I only have it held on with washi tape. And washi tape does not stick very well on here. Not some of it. Some of it's not very good. Okay, so anyway, that's back together. And so there you have the card. And I thought it turned out really, really cute. And now on to card number 3, which is another accordion fold, fun fold. And so it's like this. So you have it like this, and then you open it up like this. The thing about this one is, see this piece right here? You want this one to be able to go over that and hide it so you can't see it. So you have to remember that when you're making this, so that goes over it. Okay, so that one starts out with a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and the let's see, the piece of white, let's see, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's this piece, the back piece, okay, which is the pink, is the back. So that one, that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then this big long piece of DSP, which is what this is 5 1/2 by 12. Okay, it's 5 1/2 by 12, and then you're going to score it at 2, 4, 6, and 8. That's pretty simple to get all these little accordion folds. 2, 4, 6, and 8. And then you have this little square here, which is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then you have another one over here, which is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And so what I had done on mine is I double matted them, and so I just went down 1/4 inch on the side and up to add the white to my this paper here. And then I did the 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 little pink mat. And then I went down 1/4 inch on the bottom and the side, and then put this white piece. And then I took some more of that paper and I put it on the side. I put some little bling on here. I thought that added to it. And I just did the same thing over here. So that was this whole card. Oh, there you go. So that was that one. And then we have this one here, which is an angled gatefold fun fold card. And it has a belly band. Okay, so there's the belly band. And I just inked a flower stamp with some leaves and then glued that on there. And here's the card. You can see why they call it angled. And so I just put a piece of white in here and stamped on it. I didn't even color the flowers. I just left them black. And then put some of this paper. It can go that way or it can go this way. And so what you start with is a piece of 5 1/2 by 11. Okay, that's this orangey red paper, 5 1/2 by 11. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna measure up 1 inch. Okay, so from where the bottom of the card would be, I measured up 1 inch, which was right here. Measured down 1 inch, which was right here. And then I put it in my paper trimmer, and from this point to that point, and I cut it off. And I did the same thing here from this point to this, to where I made that 1 inch point, and I cut it off. And then I took a piece of DSP, which was 3 1/8 by 5 1/8. And then I just cut it also going up an inch from the bottom of the cardstock, and then did point to point again to get this. And it's scored at 3 3/8 and 7 5/8. And then when you do that, you're going to end up cutting these little edges off to get this. And then your mat is 4 by 5 1/4. And the other thing, don't forget, is the belly band. And the belly band is 1 inch by 9 1/2. Okay, and I didn't make a belly band for the sample. So that was the sample. This was the card. And then you put your belly band back on it. There's the card. Okay, on to volume number 4. Okay, volume 4 is this card. I love it. And I put some bling. Tried to do each one different. Put some sparkles on it. Got some butterflies. And this one is called a, what is it? A Z fold. Yes, and that makes sense. It's a Z fold. You can see the Z. It's a Z fold card. And you start with a, see, here's the Z fold. Hopefully it doesn't all come apart because, like I said, it's held with washi tape. The base is 4 1/4 by 11. Okay, and then you're gonna take it and you're gonna score it at 2 3/4, 5 1/2, and that makes your fold. So scored at 2 3/4, 5 1/2. Put some DSP on there, which is 2 1/2 by 4. So there's a piece that's 2 1/2 by 4 here and 1 here. And then I put some on this side too, which was 4 by 5 1/4. And then I double matted it. So this little mat down here is 4 1/2 by 3 3/4. This one is 4 1/4 by 3. And then you have one more that's 4 1/4 by 3. And then this one again is going to be the same. It's going to be 4 1/2 by 3 3/4. And again, you see how it's covering it up? It covers up that one. You want to make sure when you put this one on that it's covering up that other one. And that's how you do that template there, which turned out really cute. I love the DSP. I think it is really pretty butterflies and some stripes. That was a fun card to do. That was good. Okay, we're gonna stick that one over here. Move along to the next one. And this one is a triple panel standing fun fold card. And so it's going to go like this. Ta-da! Look at that. Isn't that cool? And I love this paper, these peacocks. I think that's really, really, really cool. And I even put DSP on the sides, right here, on those little sides. So this one, you start out with an 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. It was all regular card. What you're gonna do in the back, I didn't show you the back of my card, is I put a piece of white to write the sentiment and say who it's from and all that. So let's start with that. So that little piece is 2 by 5 1/4, and it will go right in there. 2 by 5 1/4. You're going to take this piece that measures 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and you're going to score it at 2, at 3 1/8, at 5 3/8, and at 6 1/2. Okay, so, and that was what you score that at. Then you have these little pieces of paper, which are, or designer series paper, which are 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. This one here, which is 2 by 5 1/4. And then we're going to take a piece here and let me see, what size was that one? I think it's 2 by 3 7/8. And you could make it white so that you could do your, or you could even see how I did a different color and then put the white. So the bottom part would be 2 by 3 7/8. And also I popped it up on dimensionals so that this sticks out. And I don't think you can see it very well, but it's on dimensionals. Okay, so there's that one. If you need to start and stop the video just so you can see and get all those numbers in there and all that, then that's what, you know, YouTube is good to do that with. Okay, the next card, I think that was a lot of fun. It looks like a hard card, but it's not. And we'll probably make some of these too. I might do a fun fold class. And this is a double box fold fun fold card. So what this one does is it opens, and I'm gonna, just to get it to go, see that? There's a box. There's another box. Okay, so there it is. I love it. I think it is so cute. And I can just make it go this way a little more. So on the back, I have my white piece for the sentiment. And then you got these little pieces of DSP on here. And I took a piece of that and put a little strip right there, just for the fun of it. Okay, so this one is called a double box fold. So your white piece in the back for the mat is 5 1/4 by 4. And this one here, I'm gonna have to take this piece off for a minute so we can get all these little folds. See, I'm holding it all together with washi tape. So I have this piece of DSP right here, which is 3 3/4 by 4. Then you've got the whole big long green piece, and you're going to score it at 1 3/8, 2 7/8, 3 7/8. That's all you're going to score it at, because what you're going to do is you have this little tiny piece right here, which I think is 3/8. And that is going to be the part that goes right here. I'm trying to get it back on the washi tape here. And it will go like that and make your first little tunnel or box. And of course, if it's held down with glue or double-sided tape, it's going to work a whole lot better than what I've got it at right now. And then this one over here, this piece is 5 1/8 by 3 1/2, this whole green piece here. And you're going to score it at 3/8, and then you're going to score it at 1 3/8. And so this makes your other little tube, which is going to go right here. And then this one hooks onto here. And the best way to hook this on is to make it go flat and then just center it on here. And then after you get it on there, then open it up. Mine's not going to open very well because it's all held together with washi tape, but you'll have the same thing. You'll have those little tubes in there. So I just didn't want to waste tape, and I wanted to be able to look at my dimensions, but this is what the finished product will look like. There's the little tubes. There's the card, front and back. And then it goes flat. It just lays flat and will fit in an A2 envelope. So there's that one. Then we have this one here, which, let's see here, how am I going to open this one like this? We have this, and there's the back side of that, and there, and then this goes like this, lays down. Okay, and so this one is called a diamond flip fun fold. And you use a piece of, I use this green, you can use whatever color you like, and it's 11 by 4 1/4. And it has one score at 5 1/2. And then, I can't remember, oh yes, and then you're gonna mark at 2 1/8. When you have this whole piece will come out like this, you're going to mark it at 2 1/8, and then you're going to put it in your scoring board, point to where you marked that 2 1/8, and you're going to cut that off. And the same here, you'll get the point and go down to 2 1/8 and cut that off. That's how you get that. That's how you get this little part right here. Looks like an arrow. Okay, and this piece of DSP is 3 by 4. And this piece inside here is 5 1/4 by 4. And then you have one of these little squares. And again, you're going to want this one to be able to cover that one up. And that's 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. This one also is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And that's what gives you this. Now you see, I didn't put one in here, but if you do, you just want to be able to cover it up. I didn't do it. I just left it like this. So it's your design. You can, you know, leave or add whatever you want to your cards. So there's those ones. One more set here and then we're done with this first 5. This one here, I think, is the waterfall. Yeah, it's an accordion fold or a waterfall. And I think I like calling it a waterfall card because to me it looks like one of those waterfalls cards, you know, that come up. And there's the other one. See? So it's very awesome card. Okay, so, and I love the paper. I think the paper is so cool. So we have my sample here, like this. So it's 11 by 4 1/4. This whole big brown piece. And you're going to score it at, let me turn it this way, at 2 1/2, 3 3/4, 6 3/4, and 8 1/4. And then it makes this fold. Okay. And then this red piece down here is 4 1/4 by 2 3/8. And then the matte piece is 3 by 3 1/4. 3 3 1/4 by 1 7/8. Sorry about that. The red pieces are 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. So this red piece and this red piece. The white matte is 3 3/8 by 3 3/8 square. And you put them on there. You can see how high up I have them or how low. I'm probably about 3/8 of an inch from the score line on these, except for this one here. I'm probably only about a quarter, not even a quarter, maybe an 1/8 of an inch from there. Let's see, you can see that. Anyways, that is our waterfall card. So there again, you can see all the folding, and then the one that I wrote on. that was a really fun card. This one also was, I used a different set here. And this one here is, let me see if I can do this right. Okay, so this, let me see what it's called first. It's called a split panel fold. And so you hold on to it and you pull this up. And you got this little part in the middle there. And it's held together by these two pieces. Okay, I just love it. And before I forget, I took this DSP here and I had a brick embossing folder and I ran it through my brick embossing folder. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a brick. It looks like a brick wall to kind of go with this brick wall. Okay, and then what did I do on here? Then I just stamped. I took this tree and stamped part of it on there. And then that one there. And so these pieces, these two pieces, this piece here and this one here, they are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. These two big pieces, and you want to make sure when you lay them on here, when you glue them on here, that they're going to cover up each other. Okay, they're going to be lined up like a card would be. And then you're going to open it, and you're going to take this white and you're going to score it at 2 and 6 1/2. So this first score from right here to here is 2. The next score from there to there is 6 1/2. And this whole big white piece is 3 by 11. And that's it. And then you'll glue them on there. So that one will get glued there, and then this big one will get glued on here. Now don't forget, you can also probably look these up online and find split panel and find all kinds of cards that you can make with your own things that you want to make. All your own, get ideas and things like that. This next card is called a Diagonal Joy Fun Fold card. And it opens like here and here. And I love this. I really like this card. Was very fun and very easy to make. And so you would start out with an 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then you're going to take and, let me see here. Did I even write that down? I don't think I did. I was trying to see. So I think what I did is this green piece was 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and I just took and I scored it down the middle. And then I took and went from this point to this point and cut it off. And then I used the other side of this one 4 by 5 1/4, which is what this one was. I cut this one from point to point and I put it over here. I put it under here, so make it look like it's all one piece. You can see what I'm talking about. And this, let's see, this green piece right here was 8 1/2 by 3. And you scored it in down the middle. And then I put a 2 1/2 by 4 piece of white on top. And this one I used the same color over here, 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. And put that on there. But remember, this goes in, this goes over it. So that's what you have here. And I just did some stamping, put some ribbon, put a sentiment on there, and then open it up. So when I cut this piece here, I use the other side that I cut off for right here. Okay, there's that one. And the last one in our volume 5 is this one, and it's a double easel fun fold. Okay, so here's our easel. You see how that sits right there? And move it back a little bit so it just sits like that. Looks like an easel card. And then you can open it up. Okay, so this one starts out with an 11 by 4 1/4. And then you're gonna take it and you're gonna score it at 5 1/2, right in the middle. Use a piece of white mat that's 4 by 5 1/4 and put it on this side. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it. Okay, which is what I did over here. Open it up. That's what I did. And then you're gonna take and put, let's see, this piece of DSP, this brown piece here, is 9 3/4 by 4, and you're gonna score it at 2 1/4 and at 4 1/2, right there and right there. You will then put a piece of DSP that's 3 3/4 by 5, and then you can put a white one if you want to do some stamping on it, or you can put some more designer paper or whatever. This is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. This little one right here is 3 3/4 by 2. And this little one down here is 3 3/4 by 2. So these two are the same. And this piece is 2 5/8 by 4. I mean, you can really use and make sure that this one, when you close it, is covers up this piece right here. You don't want to see that. See, like mine? So it covers it up. So I think it was so much fun to do these. I mean, you could even go on these and like add some bling, add some ribbon, add double matted. Put, as you'll see as I go along, like what I had done with this one, I added the black because the black just made it pop. And I love that, and I've done that with a few of my cards, and I really like that. So anyways, I think that's it for right now. I still have more to do. Let me get you back up here. I still have more to do. I've got 1, 2, 3 more to clear to volume 12. So we did 5, so we have some more to do. But I'll save those for another day. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made sense to you. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed making it. Check klompendstamper.com out. And until next time, happy creating and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.